It's the early 2000s. Reality TV is king, ties are longer than common sense, and a man with a golden elevator and the world's most aggressive spray tan is about to go from firing people on camera to leading the free world. Yep. We're talking about Donald John Trump. Now, before you grab your red hats or start doom scrolling, relax. This isn't a political debate. It's a roast. And our subject is one of the most roastable men alive. So buckle up, grab a bucket of KFC, and let's explore the tragic comedy of why it absolutely, unapologetically sucks to be Donald Trump. First of all, being a billionaire sounds fun. Until you realize Donald Trump's bank account is like Schrodinger's money. He's rich, or broke, or both. Depends who you ask. He claims he's worth billions. Forbes isn't convinced, and somewhere, his accountant is crying into a calculator. He's constantly juggling lawsuits like flaming swords. Tax fraud here, sexual misconduct there, insurrection maybe sprinkled on top. At this point, his legal team probably has a punch card. 10 scandals, and the 11th is free. And speaking of juggling, let's talk image management. Most billionaires want to look rich. Donald wants to look like a gold-plated cheeseburger married a chandelier. His aesthetic is part Vegas casino, part Bond villain's lair, and part guy who inherited his dad's hotel chain and never got over it. You know how most people retire after age 70?
It's my retirement from comedy.
Donald went, hold my Diet Coke, ran for president, and somehow won. And if that doesn't sum up late-stage capitalism, I don't know what does. But winning the presidency didn't make his life easier. It cranked the chaos to 11. Suddenly, every tweet became international news.
I have never seen a thin person drinking Diet Coke.
Every typo became a meme. And every press conference became an improv comedy show without a script. The man once stared into a solar eclipse with no glasses on. That's not confidence. That's what happens when your ego is so inflated it deflects UV rays. And let's not forget the Twitter addiction. At one point, he was tweeting more often than teenagers on spring break. If Twitter had a loyalty program, Donald would have unlocked Diamond Ultra Supreme Executive Plus status. But then came the ultimate punishment for any attention-loving megalomaniac: deplatforming. Twitter, Facebook, even Pinterest, yes, Pinterest banned him. You know it's bad when even a website about mason jars and cupcake recipes says, nah, we're good. For a man who breathes media attention like oxygen, being booted from the internet was like exiling a fish from water, so he tried starting his own platform, Truth Social, which, as of now, has about 12 active users, 9 of which are bots, and the other 3 are people waiting for the return of Vine. And we haven't even gotten to the hair. Oh, the hair. It's not just a style, it's a lifestyle. That thing has seen more wind tunnels than a Boeing test flight. Scientists are still debating whether it's alive, synthetic, or some kind of interdimensional entity trying to escape. Waking up every morning knowing you have to sculpt that into something camera-ready? Exhausting. Gravity? Optional. Logic? Forgotten. Hairspray? Consumed in quantities that would be considered a war crime by the EPA. And let's talk about stress. Sure, he pretends he's untouchable, but even a man who lives in a literal gold tower isn't immune to anxiety. Imagine waking up every day knowing half the country loves you and the other half would vote for a potted plant over you.
I voted.
You know what most ex-presidents do after office? Write a memoir, paint some landscapes, give a TED Talk. Trump? He launched a series of golf tournaments where he awards himself trophies and gives political speeches to his own reflection. And don't even get me started on the endorsements. Pillow guys, snake oil supplements, NFTs of himself dressed as a superhero. Donald Trump's career post-presidency is like if QVC and InfoWars had a baby and handed it a microphone. Somewhere, an intern had to Photoshop Trump with six-pack abs and laser eyes for a $99.99 JPEG. And people bought them. That's either capitalism at its finest or a sign the simulation is glitching. Now let's talk about family dynamics. Most people keep their work and family separate. Trump? He made his kids advisors. Imagine going to the White House and your dad says, "Congratulations, you're Secretary of State." Also, you're grounded. Ivanka was everywhere. Jared was everywhere else. Eric tried really hard. And Don Jr.? Let's just say he's the human embodiment of a YouTube comment section. Thanksgiving dinner must be like a corporate board meeting with cranberry sauce. Pass the stuffing, and also, we're being sued in New York. And the business empire. Ah yes, Trump hotels, Trump steaks, Trump University. Wait, no, scratch that last one. It's hard being Donald when your brand is both a luxury label and a punchline. The man once tried to sell bottled water with his name on it. It tasted like ego and bankruptcy.
Hey fellas, look at me.
Meanwhile, Mar-a-Lago has turned into a weird combo of a senior golf retreat, a political war room, and the set of a reality TV show where the producers quit mid-season. Let's also remember the very fine people on both sides moment. You know your life's complicated when explaining what you meant takes longer than your actual speech. Every time he opens his mouth, his legal team breaks into a sweat and someone on Fox News yells what he meant to say was, the man's catchphrases alone could fuel an entire BuzzFeed article. Fake news, China virus, Sleepy Joe. I have the best words. And somehow none of those words were sorry or my bad. And the lawsuits. Oh boy, the lawsuits. Trump is involved in more court battles than a Marvel villain. Civil, criminal, federal, state. You name it. He's been served. His legal calendar looks like a bingo card of bad decisions. He claims he's being targeted by a witch hunt. But let's be honest. If there were witches involved, they'd have better hair and less interest in real estate. And speaking of image control, imagine trying to look presidential while yelling at a lawnmower during a press conference.
What the hell was that all about?
Or photo-opping in front of a church holding a Bible like it's radioactive. The guy held a press briefing where he suggested injecting disinfectant. Injecting disinfectant. Somewhere, a bottle of bleach filed a restraining order. Even his supporters are a double-edged sword. On one hand, they worship him like a spray-tanned messiah. On the other, they stormed the Capitol wearing Viking helmets. Imagine waking up and realizing your legacy involves a guy named Q Shaman. Half his fan base believes he's fighting a global cabal, and the other half just really hates taxes. It's a demographic Venn diagram shaped like a conspiracy board. Let's also not forget, this man was impeached twice. That's not a record. That's a cry for help. Being impeached once makes you infamous. Being impeached twice makes you a full-blown political franchise. Trump too. The impeachment strikes back. And still, he's considering running again. At this point, he's less a politician and more of a pop-up ad that won't go away. Click here to make America great again. His entire political brand is built on being an outsider, while being literally the most recognizable person in America. That's like a Kardashian claiming to be just like us. He says he hates the media,
Scavengers, they're like scavengers.
but also calls into cable shows more than your aunt calls into radio contests. It's a love-hate relationship. He hates them. They love covering him. And we all hate ourselves a little for watching. So there you have it. Being Donald Trump isn't just a lifestyle, it's a full-time crisis management simulation with bad Wi-Fi, 3 lawsuits, and a golf score no one believes. He lives in a golden palace. But he's trapped in a never-ending episode of The Apprentice, Reality Collapse Edition. Half the country cheers him, the other half screams into a pillow, and meanwhile, he's somewhere in a ballroom, ranting to a chandelier about voter fraud. Because being Donald Trump means never admitting defeat, never saying sorry, and always believing you're the main character, even when the rest of the cast has already left the building. It's exhausting, chaotic, meme-worthy, and one badly timed tweet away from total meltdown. And that, my friends, is why it absolutely, unapologetically, undeniably sucks to be Donald Trump.